Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. I hope you're all doing okay today and that you're ready for some more The House in Fata Morgana. It's been a while. I hope that I am up for this today because, I'm still having a cold. It refuses to leave my body. I'm feeling possessed. I was this morning I was really coughing my lungs out and my throat was hurting, and I was just like, well, I have to cancel this, but right now it feels okay. And I do think I sound a bit better when I'm talking, so I am hoping that the voice will hold. I have been preparing. I have drinking some tea with honey. I have a glass of water with me, so hopefully I will be able to do this without sounding like a dying crow. We will see, but so far I think it sounds okay. Yeah, it does seem like it sounds better, doesn't it, Dudor? I think so too, so I'm hopeful, a bit scared but hopeful, so yeah. So I must tell you today, I had milkshake today and it was divine, let me tell you. I was going to my parents because I was sick during Father's Day, so I went there to celebrate it today instead. And my dad is a huge fan of anything called junk food, so I bought some hamburgers, and for myself I also bought a milkshake. He isn't really a fan of milkshakes. And he isn't really allowed to drink them either because he's very overweight. But a burger at least and some onion rings he got. But that milkshake, my god, I don't remember what it was called. It was like something Merry Christmas swirl or something, and it was so good. It was so good. It was like a mix of milkshake with chai latte and gingerbread, those tastes, and it was just it was so good, so good. And now my stomach is a little bit upset at me because I can't really handle that much, because those milkshakes from that place have a lot of cream in them as well. It's not only ice cream but actual cream, and my stomach can't really handle that, so it's a bit upset at me, but yeah, it was worth it. Also, I bought today, I was very excited, I told Dudor and Fia about it. I bought an exclusive book box from that fantasy publishing house that I have been talking about a bit before. It was released today, a midwinter box with two books and a bunch of other bookish delights that I don't know what they are. They will be a surprise, but two books at least with sprayed edges, and it was expensive, but it was so nice. I'm going to be so happy once it arrives, because I have seen a lot. I've been following BookTube for a while, and I always get so jealous of all those people who buy Fairy Loot and stuff like that, because I want it too. But it would be super expensive to buy Fairy Loot or subscribe to Fairy Loot and get it shipped to Sweden. So I'm so happy that this publishing house is doing book boxes. They don't have a subscription, but they have so that you can buy separate book boxes, which is perfect for me because you don't always want all the book boxes. So it's nice to be able to buy the ones that you want. But I had to go up early because it was exclusive, and I was there immediately as they opened the selling of it, and 1 hour later it was sold out, so yeah. But I'm happy, I got one, so it will be shipped to me in the beginning of December. I'm very excited for that. Hello Morgana, welcome. Your stomach is always upset at you, though it seems pretty toxic if you ask me. My stomach is pretty toxic. I woke up tonight with just a serious stomach pain. At 4 I woke up and was my stomach hurts. And then I had to sit on the toilet for a while because, yeah, my stomach was just mean. So yeah, I do think I probably have like IBS or something because my stomach is very upset a lot of times, so yeah. Yes, I am liking the short stories. They are very nice. I enjoy them a lot, and I think I mentioned it before, but like it's so nice to end with these short stories because it feels kind of like going full circle, you know, going back to where we began, like with the cursed house and with the like melancholic, dreary kind of stories. I really like it. So yeah. But I'm not going to talk for too long because I am scared that my voice will just give out. So let's start the game. Gonna make sure I have some sound. I hope it is good for you guys. But yeah, it feels like my voice is a bit better. I just hope I don't get that whole lid in my throat again, because that is the worst. Like, because then it's just hard to get the words out, you know? Alright, and we will start with pain, apparently. And since it's a 2 in front of it and it's like a 1 in front of lost, I'm thinking this might be like either from Jacopo or Giselle's point of view, or maybe even both again, like it's a sort of continuation from Lost, is what I'm guessing. But we will see. Ooh, beautiful background. Beyond ending 4, a moment of hesitation. Ending 4. I need to think, which one is that? We didn't do any of the like... Moment of hesitation. I guess it's when you like... I know there's an ending where there's like time that you have to like not hesitate because otherwise Giselle just... Oh, I wish I could remember. It's one of the bad endings at least, I'm guessing. So we'll see what happens. I guess they will explain a bit of it, probably. So, yeah. How can you be sure that even now I still love you? Oh yeah. And you hesitate here and it's like... It's the end where Giselle killed Michelle. Oh yeah, that's the thing. Thank you, Spartanio. My god, I can't even pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. But thank you. I do remember that now, that was a thing. Can you deny the possibility that I no longer yearn for you, but the white-haired girl? Can you deny the possibility that my love for you has transformed into hate? Farewell, Michelle. In a brief moment of hesitation, Michelle had abandoned Giselle, leading to the worst possible outcome for the both of them. The both of them, and the others as well, a young girl. The girl, however, remained oblivious to her fate. Are you sure you really wanted to let him go? The girl leaned back in a rocking chair before the fireplace, tracing her bottom lip with her skeletal finger. Finger? My god, I can't pronounce words today, guys. As always, I know how to read. Some things never change. Her face was covered in hideous scars, a fitting look for the witch of the cursed mansion, but it was her devilish smile that left the strongest impact. The maid, who now remembered she was Giselle, was putting kindling on the fire, a task she had done countless times over hundreds of years. But this time, the circumstances were slightly different. Yes, I am sure. Giselle looked up at the witch, distraught. Her already unnaturally pale face was almost entirely devoid of color. Just moments earlier, she had banished the man she loved. She had cast Michelle's soul back into the void, sending it off with a wish that he would never find his way back to this mansion. "I see," the witch said, still running her finger across her lip. "I don't think I'll ever understand. If you hate someone, you should chain them down and torture them for all eternity. It was the perfect opportunity to trap his soul." "I do not hate him," Giselle said, causing the witch's bony finger to come to a sudden halt. The witch raised an eyebrow, perplexed, but it was hidden in the shadow of her hood for no one to see. "Oh, is that so, my dear? After everything you said, I simply assumed." "I could never come to hate him. I could never want to see him dead or tortured." As she spoke, the look of dejection on Giselle's face deepened. However, there seemed to be a hint of relief beneath it, which the witch couldn't comprehend. "Uh-huh? Then why did you say what you did?" The witch extended her skeletal finger toward Giselle. Giselle sighed, saying, "I don't think you would understand. Sometimes you kept your distance from someone because you loved them. You sent them back to the mortal realm to live a normal life away from you, an undying apparition, because you loved them. You never wanted them to set foot in the cursed mansion again, because you loved them. Aww." The witch would never understand those desires, so she did it because she wanted to save him. And I guess she kind of wanted to, save him from seeing her that way. She believed herself to be destroyed, not being the Giselle that he loved anymore. She would never understand telling someone, "I don't love you," because you love them. And she would never understand lying to push someone away because you love them. "Probably not," the witch said. "I'm not particularly interested in understanding either. It doesn't matter what happened in the interim. In the end, nothing's changed, has it, my dear? You are still my darling devoted maid. With enough time, you will once more forget your name." Giselle slowly closed her eyes. The witch was right. In time, the mansion would eat away at her until there was once again nothing left. However, she no longer felt any fear about losing herself again. Giselle had no one to wait for anymore, which meant she was free from having to despair about him never showing up now. She didn't regret her choice either. As she had shown Michelle the events of her own past, she had come to realize that she was no longer that person. Just she was merely an unsettling shadow of the woman he had known, and she didn't want to subject him to that. It's for the best. Giselle repeated that phrase to herself again and again. A devilish smile rose to the witch's lips as she watched her gaze slowly sink to the cold floor. "What a wonderful world this is," she said. She was in complete control of everything after all. The cursed mansion existed outside reality, an eternal prison where time held no meaning. What one soul perceived as a day could be a second or a year for another soul. The witch Morgana awoke from a long rest. She opened her eyes, and it was the fireplace crackling away. Before it knelt a woman with deathly pale skin, feeding the fire with kindling. Morgana had no idea where the maid had got the wood. "Oh, hello there. Good morning," the witch snorted. "Good morning to you as well, my dear," Morgana said. "Hello, Marcus. Welcome, welcome. The algorithm sent me to your stream, so I decided to watch because I like your model and the low view count. Okay, thank you. You're very welcome to hang out here. We are right now reading the short stories of the house in Fata Morgana, so a bit spoilerish, but feel free to stay here and just relax, a good story time." "How long has it been?" "Since when?" "Since you cast him out." cast who out? The maid said with her usual smile, tilting her head. Which was all Morgana needed to hear to know what had happened. It's been long enough for you to have fully reverted, I see. Whatever do you mean? The maid asked. Oh, is this one of your riddles? When have I ever given a riddle? You're the one who likes to make everything you say sound mysterious, my dear. My, if you say so. Are you trying to agitate me? Of course not. Now, would you like to start your day with a cup of herbal tea? Morgana sighed. It seemed the maid indeed fully reverted. She'd had this exchange every single time she woke up since the maid's mind had broken. And even though her own sense of time had dulled as well, having to answer the same questions over and over again was still frustrating. She was the one who had broken the maid's mind in the first place, though, so she also understood she had brought this on herself. I told you this again and again, I don't need any tea. And what about breakfast? The maid asked. I don't need food either. What is House of Fata Morgana? Is it a game or series of short stories? This is my first time learning of it. It is, I guess you could say it's a trilogy of games. It's a visual novel. It's shortly described, it's like a cursed mansion that you wake up in, and you need to like see the past of all the residents that have lived there to uncover who you are and what have happened and like why the house is cursed. And this that we're doing right now is like the short stories, so it's the final thing that we are doing. We have played all the 3 games, we have had the endings, and now we are kind of seeing the stories that were never told in the original games, so to speak. So yeah. Yes, Daniel says, hello Daniel, welcome. It's a visual novel. You'd be a good audiobook narrator, you're natural at this. Thank you, thank you. Many people have told me that I have a good voice, so I appreciate it. Thank you. Even though I am a bit sick at the moment, so I am trying extra hard. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a trilogy with 2 side games that are alternate realities. Very true, very true. As I've also told you repeatedly. The maid pursed her lips into a little pout. Any food or tea you prepare is nothing but the product of a deluded spirit's imagination, and I would cast myself into the void before touching that, the witch thought, sighing. Then will you be doing your usual rounds of the house? The maid asked. I suppose, the girl said, gazing up at the dark ceiling. Her only real pastime was visiting the 3 souls trapped here and tormenting them. Sometimes with words, sometimes with visions of the past, and sometimes with her own 2 hands. Gradually, bit by bit, she chipped away at her souls. Also, I can mention that if you are interested in this and like find it intriguing, I have all the VODs up on my channel, like for my whole playthrough. So it's if you're interested, go and check that out as well. It's a really good story. It's my favorite story of all time, so it's definitely worth it, I would say. As the master of the house, it acted to serve her will. And that influence was especially powerful while it existed outside time. I'm going to subscribe because I like the coziness of this place. Also, apparently you're also a writer, so that's also appealing to me. Oh, thank you so much, I appreciate it. Which meant she could do almost anything she pleased. And she had taken full advantage of that ability to torture the souls of the flaxen-haired boy, the beast-like swordsman, and the monstrous lord. She was more than willing to spend the rest of eternity exacting her revenge on the 3 of them. That said, she felt things were getting a bit repetitive, and with Michelle banished, there was no longer any hope of outside entertainment, which left her the only one with the power to mix things up. It might be time to send them out again. The maid blinked at her, perplexed. But of course she wouldn't understand. She didn't know about the 3 souls imprisoned here. "Are you going to release something from the mansion?" the maid asked quizzically. "I would never," the witch said, cackling. "They've been placed under a powerful curse, a wish of destruction and reconstruction, and I am going to begin that process again, have them live their 3rd lives." "Oh, I can't wait to see what terrible ends they meet this time. Aren't you excited, my dear?" "Yes, very much so," the maid said, smiling as though she hadn't understood a single word. The witch jumped to her feet, giddy with rancor. Imagining the miserable, bloody future the 3 terrible men would surely meet had fixed her mood in an instant. They had to suffer for all eternity. They had to endure a fate worse than death. They had to pay for their sins. Over and over and over again. Morgana first went to visit the flaxen-haired boy, whose soul was imprisoned in the rose garden. As she approached the double doors, they opened on their own, the rusty hinges letting out pained shrieks. On the other side lay a colourless, withered garden, a sad shadow of its once brilliant, colourful splendour. Of course, the witch felt no heartache over the garden's state of decay. A boy's shadow knelt on the ground, almost entirely encased in a briar patch. It was wispy and barely managed to retain his human form. Arms wrapped around his head, he muttered endlessly to himself. "Guess I will go make some food now while I continue listening in." Yeah, that sounds perfect. I hope you're getting something good. It's not all my fault. I can't take this anymore. Someone get me out of here. Morgana stuck her chin out, looking down on the pathetic creature before her. Her last time here he had been a bit more coherent, but now he seemed to be hardly there at all. The flaxen-haired boy's punishment was to relive the day that started it all over and over again. He had to watch dozens of people die during the Harvest Festival celebration, including his own sister. And now that he'd finished his 2nd life as well, she made him watch his mistakes from that as well. Such at the time, he called his sister disgusting and pushed her away. The very same sister he betrayed the lakeside witch for. I never could have known that would happen. I just wanted a normal life. It's kind of weird seeing this side of Morgana again after reincarnation. Yeah, it kind of is. I do. It is a bit like strange, yeah. But also I like it because, as I said already, it feels like going back to the roots of the House of Fata Morgana. Are these bonus features for the game? It looks like the background has specific style. Yeah, I guess you could say that. It's like bonus stories. It's basically stories that couldn't really fit into the game. And this one right here is like what would happen if we got one of the bad endings. It's like a continuation of the bad ending, or one of the bad endings rather. Someone, please, get me out of here. Would you like me to set you free? The witch asked. Only then did the shadow notice her presence, looking up at her with his featureless, empty face. What? The witch's smirk grew wider. I said I'm thinking of releasing you. If the flaxen-haired boy had any strength left to think, he would have realized this was all a trick, not a sudden display of kindness. But all he could see was an opportunity to escape, and he was going to take it. Please, let me go. He didn't even so much as wonder why. The only thing that registered in his feeble mind was the word free. Nothing else mattered, as long as he could escape this place. The witch's devilish smirk widened even further. Very well, then I shall deliver your soul to its rightful place. You are very fortunate to have this chance to return to the mortal realm, my dear. Thank you so much for your forgiveness. A contorted smile rose to the flaxen-haired boy's face. He then whisked away into nothing, leaving behind only a small breeze to rustle the witch's robe. It took all her strength to not burst out laughing. Thank you for your forgiveness. That was brilliant. She hadn't said a thing about forgiving him. Farewell, Mel, the witch said, tracing her lip with her bone finger. We'll meet again soon, she said. The witch's parting words this time were not until our souls crossed paths once more in the boundless sphere of fate, because she hadn't released him from the curse, so his fate was still bound to her, even as he began life anew. And so long as he remained subject to the curse, so did the soul of the girl who meant so much to him. What I meant was a DLC to the games. I haven't played it, but the background looks too specific to have been taken from the internet. Yeah, no, it's not a DLC. It's part of the game. I'm playing the Switch version, which has like all the games in it. So if you go to like the main menu, you can choose like the House of Fata Morgana, and then there's Requiem, and then there's Reincarnation, and after that there's the short story. So it's like just the last part of the full game, you could say, like the full Switch version of the game at least. And I think some of these short stories are part of the PC versions of the games as well. But this is like the fully released stories that are also part of the game, so it's not like from the internet or anything. It's part of the game. Hello Day, welcome, and no worries, it's okay to be late. Next, the witch went to visit a swordsman. His soul was imprisoned in a cellar, from which the stench of blood and flesh emanated. After losing his mind, the twisted killer began destroying everything in sight while howling in some incomprehensible tongue, perhaps his native language, perhaps not a human language at all. The witch was, in truth, not looking forward to this visit. While the cursed mansion was indeed her domain, her own little realm of the dead, she was still just a regular soul herself. If he were to catch her off guard, he could very well damage her soul beyond repair. The witch held the greatest grudge against the barbaric lord, but she remained the most cautious around the swordsman. With an exasperated sigh, she opened the cellar door, and, exactly as she expected, a barely humanoid beast leapt at her the second she did. "Stop this instant!" she shouted, pointing a bony finger at the beast. In the realm of the dead, it was willpower and not physical strength that ruled, which meant that while the witch had been a helpless girl in life, she was the most powerful being in this domain. At her command, the beast froze mid-motion, a katana held high above his head. He stared wide-eyed at the small girl standing before him, beads of sweat forming on his neck. Oh, I like that. That is so cool. Like, we don't get a sound or anything, we just get quotation marks and nothing in it. I love that. That's amazing. How much would you recommend this series? I feel my curiosity getting the better of me, but I don't want to make a purchase of regret. I mean, I would highly recommend it. It depends, like, if you like visual novels, then I would definitely recommend this one. It's not like it's not a visual novel that have a lot of branching paths or anything. It's a very straightforward, just story that you read, but it's so good. It's so good. It's my favorite story of all times. It's so yeah, I would definitely say that it's worth it if you like visual novels, because this is like my favorite story of all time. Like, not only with visual novels, but like books, games, movies, all of the different medias you can have, this is my favorite. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. But it is a lot of reading, so as long as you don't mind that, then yeah, definitely. I'm neutral on visual novels, but I do like CYOA, Choose Your Own Adventure games. Yeah, it's not like that. It's, I would say it's kind of like reading a book with music and character sprites, more than playing a game. It's more book than game, really, but it's really, really good. The story is just outstanding. I had never tried a visual novel before this one, and I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, this was my first visual novel, actually, and it has set a really high bar for the rest of them out there. So yeah, but yeah, I would definitely recommend it. And I could say, like, if you're interested, you could, as I said, my VODs of like my whole playthrough is up on my channel, so take a look there and see if like it seems like something you would enjoy. And if it is, then definitely, yeah, buy it. It's totally worth it. And I would recommend like the Switch version. It is on PC as well, but the Switch version is like the upgraded version with like new updated arts, and also it has the full story, like with the all three games and the short stories. Hi Fia, welcome. I may get it if it's on sale for the holidays, but I'm still a bit iffy about it. Yeah, understandable. You should never buy something just on a whim. But yeah, like I said, if you're curious, just check out the VODs, because yeah, then you will get a better understanding of what the game is about, really. Yeah, I don't use a PC for gaming either, I really don't. Like, I have some visual novels on it, but mostly I'm a console game. So this I play on the Switch, and I also play a lot on my PS5, so yeah. I only have a laptop, so I can't really play a lot of PC games either. I can play a few of them, but like, not a lot. The beast shouted something in some inhuman tongue. The witch glanced around the cellar. It was littered with corpses, blood stains on every surface. Perhaps among the bodies was even a woman he called his tether. The witch turned her golden eyes back to the beast. In life she had been terrified of this man. So scared that she had resorted to opening her door for the flaxen-haired boy, hoping to ask for his assistance. But now there was no fear, only glee at having him entirely under her thumb. "How would you like it if I returned you to the realm of the living?" she asked with a devilish grin. The beast stared at her blankly, his form shifting into something faintly more human. "You're still torn between your two greatest desires, aren't you? You thirst for blood, and yet you crave a quiet life at the same time. You've already fallen once, lived as a beast, but that wasn't enough to satisfy you. So perhaps the only way to quench your thirst is with the other desire, peace and quiet. And I'm offering you another chance to have that." "Do you mean it?" The shadow's hands were trembling. Hands, even. It took the witch everything in her power to not start cackling at the sight. That abhorrent killer, shaking like a lamb. "Yes, I mean it," she said with a smile. The katana fell from the beast's hands, letting out a loud, high-pitched clang when it hit the hard floor. As the sound echoed in the cellar, it sounded almost like 1,000 ghosts screaming. "So you do want to go back to being a man after all?" The shadow dropped his head in a crude imitation of a nod. A hideous beast and his most benevolent savior, it was a scene that could have easily taken place between him and the white-haired girl in the second life. Of course, the witch's intentions were nothing like hers. and by the witch's mercy, the beast was freed. With his disappearance, the countless bodies stacked up in the cellar vanished as if they had never been there. Only the smell of blood remained to remind her of the carnage. The witch then burst out laughing, unable to hold it back any longer. "Oh, that was brilliant! Do you really think you'll ever be able to find peace? No! You just kill whoever holds you back and descend into madness, no matter how much you resist. And this time, you're going to turn everyone on you and die a sad, miserable, gruesome death." Her cackling echoed in the cold cellar for some time. Her final stop was to see the man she despised more than anyone, the Lord. That monstrous savage. The mere thought of him filled her head with a pitch-black rage. He had ruined her life and tainted her soul. He was the cruelest, most barbaric of all of them. He held disgusting blood Sabbaths, turning a saint into a spectacle. The witch despised all three men, but her loathing for the Lord, the ultimate root of her suffering, was far, far greater than the other two. She made her way to the den on the second floor. Cigarette smoke seeped out into the hallway, a smell as sad as the man waiting inside. When she opened the door, a cloud of smoke escaped, and only then was she able to see inside. Sitting on the edge of the billiards table, with his head drooped, was the third shadow, again, barely able to maintain human form. A few seconds later, he noticed the witch's presence and stumbled off the table, shuffling precariously towards her. He extended a hand for her in grief and overwhelming regret, but the witch only saw it as a threat. He was trying to hurt her, as he had done so many times in his life, to save himself. I wonder if Morgana would stay this pity forever if she wasn't saved, if that's even the right word for it. I think so. I think she needs someone to make her understand that this is wrong, because she's so she has cursed herself in a way. She is so hell-bent on this, she doesn't really see any other way out, I feel. So I think she would just keep doing it forever if she hadn't been saved, honestly. "Don't you dare touch me," she said, causing his hand to freeze in the air. It formed a chasm between them, boundlessly wide and unfathomably deep. One he would never be able to cross. "Rejoice, Lord," the witch said with a devilish grin. "I'm setting your soul free." The shadow just stood there, staring at her. He didn't rejoice at the news, and in fact seemed to be rather upset by it. He opened his mouth to try to say something, but only a strange gasp escaped from his lips. The witch tilted her head. The other two had been thrilled to hear they were being set free, so she was not expecting this reaction. "Ah," she said with a nod. "I see what it is. You realized that was a trick, and that I'm really sending you out to your third doom. I suppose being the Lord for so long, you would need a sense for danger." The man was desperately trying to communicate something to her, but with each attempt to use his voice, it only got less and less comprehensible. If he couldn't speak, then he would have to try something else. So he dragged his legs forward, toward the witch. "You will never lay another finger on me," she commanded, pointing a skeletal finger at the shadow's feet. Heavy black chains, strongly reminiscent of those that had been used to seal the observation tower's door, appeared from the floor and wrapped themselves around his ankles, digging deep into his skin. The shadow fell to his knees, and the sound of rattling metal echoed in the den. Oh, what a sorry sight! The former lord of a large territory and the head of a mafia family, on his hands and knees, utterly helpless. How does it feel being looked down on by a mere commoner? It must be absolutely humiliating. Shadow screamed, still mostly indecipherable. But more so than before. His intense desire to get through to her was beginning to show an effect. The witch cackled, glaring down at the pathetic creature before her. She knew how prideful a man he was. He was undoubtedly trying to assail her with curses and promises of vengeance. And oh, how delightful it would be to completely break him. Go on, my dear. Tell me how much you despise me. Take it nice and slow. You can do it. She crouched before the shadow, peering into his eyes. He didn't have a face to read an expression from, but she could still feel his desperation. He groaned and grunted, and then finally he was able to form words. I want to make amends. The witch froze. It took her several seconds to comprehend what he had just said. Had he just asked to make amends? The Lord, the man who had held those dreadful blood sabbaths, tortured the slaves for fun, and was concerned only about satisfying his own desires, wanted to atone? For what purpose? I made you to the witch. I will do anything you want. I want to make amends. Shut up. The witch stepped back away from the Lord. She was rattled, and her face contorted in confusion, luckily hidden by her hood. Right, it was just a ploy to escape from her curse. He was offering atonement in the hope that she would show him mercy. Well, he was a fool. She had no mercy to spare. The only thing she had in her heart was boundless hatred. Having regained her composure, the witch decided she would make him pay for attempting to worm his way free with an empty show of grace. She turned her gaze toward the shadow-cloaked ceiling, and made a wish. In her mind, she envisioned the long sword the Lord had held above her head, and a few moments later, that very blade descended from the void. The time-worn sword rattled to the floor beside the Lord. Raising her fleshless arm, the witch pointed at the blade with a smirk. If you wish to atone for what you've done, you will have to suffer the same pain as I did. Take the blade, and with it, sever your own left arm. Oh my God. I swear, and he will do it. Knowing Jacobo, he will definitely do it. And should you refuse, that proves you a heartless tyrant only capable of hurting others, she meant to say, but couldn't finish. What? The sound spilled unbidden from her lips as a massive shadow made thump against the dense carpet. Yet black liquid spurted from his left shoulder, staining the area around him. He hadn't even hesitated. What next? The shadow plunged the bloody sword into the ground, leaning against the hilt for support. He was breathing heavily from the pain, but he still asked for more, knowing a single arm didn't compare to the agony she had been made to endure. The witch stared at him, flabbergasted. What on earth was happening? Was this the kind of man the Lord was? No, forget that. Regardless of whatever he was doing now, he had still locked her in the observation tower and killed her. He was a brutal, savage murderer, and nothing changed that. He had to be. He had to be. What do you want me to do next? What will bring you relief? Morgana! Silence! The witch's mind was a mess. Something seemed wrong, but her soul refused to let her see what. Pain that she had long since buried was drifting back to the surface. As anger and hatred bubbled furiously in her gut, she twisted her lips into a smile and proclaimed, "Very well then, as you wish, I'll let you experience the full extent of the pain and helplessness I was made to suffer. considering how much Michelle had to do to prove her that there is more than hate and revenge, she would most likely never start without interference. Yeah, exactly, that's what I also feel. She needs someone to give her that little nudge. And without him, she is just as cursed as everyone else, just bound to repeat this over and over and over again. And that's what just makes this so tragic. And so, she put the Lord through all the pain and suffering and despair she had gone through in life, covering his body in wounds from head to toe and draping the den in a thick layer of black blood. It was the witch's very own blood Sabbath. The black shadow lay in a twisted mound on the center of the sea of blood. Occasional strained gurgles, the only sign anything remained inside. He had endured the entirety of her 16 years of life in the tiniest fraction of that time, and as a result, his soul was on the brink of disappearance. The witch was breathing heavily as well. In the process of administering her punishment, she had to relive it all as well, creating brand new wounds in her soul. Oh, yeah, I can imagine that. It had been centuries since she had last been hurt by her past. "That's enough," she said. "I'm sending your soul back out into the world so you can begin your third life, and your third tragedy. I will never let your suffering end." Coughing up blood, the shadow lifted his head, shaking it weakly. He didn't object to the suffering, only doing it in the mortal realm. It had to be here, with her, where she could see it. He had so much he wanted to say, but only the strength left in his lips to put on one sentiment into words. That he wanted to atone, of course. That was the only thing he truly desired. The witch bit her lip. These incomprehensible feelings he kept dragging out of her were driving her mad. And the very fact that she was unable to retain her composure was only a source of further agitation. "Are you incapable of saying anything else? If you're capable of feeling remorse, why would you do any of that to me in the first place? Why did you hold all those blood Sabbaths? Why did you make a spectacle out of me? Why did you torture your slaves for fun? Why did you call me a witch? Why did you lock me up and murder me?" He likely wanted to tell her she was wrong, but because not everything she had said was false, he couldn't, and he didn't have the strength or clarity of mind to explain it in detail. So all he could do was cling to his self-destructive wish for atonement. "I will never be able to understand you, Lord." The witch's mental state was beginning to shift again. Not for the better, though. The only person capable of untangling the massive knot that had formed was no longer around, which meant it would only continue to get more and more tangled. And she was starting to think she'd rather be rid of him entirely than have him suffer for all eternity. The longer she kept him around, the more chances he would have to beg to make amends. But she was done with that. She was done with the Lord's nonsense. And she was done with feeling like such a mess because of him. "Okay then, as you wish. This wasn't part of my plan, but I'll let you have your final atonement." As she spoke, she bent down and picked up the sword with a skeletal hand. "By giving me your head." He didn't object, and he didn't try to run. Instead, he pushed himself up with his right arm, dropping his head and exposing his neck for her. Morgana looked down on him with disgust. She tightened her grip on the sword, pretending not to notice the faint trembling in her hand. "Farewell, Lord. May your soul be forever extinguished from this world." With those words, she ended the Lord's life once and for all. And with his death, the truth scattered into the wind. Morgana's robe was heavy with black blood. She was exhausted. She thought having her revenge would take a huge weight off her shoulders, but instead, she just felt lethargic. She wanted to get back to the warmth of the fireplace and go down for another nice long sleep. But when she opened the door to the hallway... "Have you finished your business?" She came face to face with the maid, her jade eyes glimmering unnaturally. Morgana took a half step back. What was she getting spooked for? She was the most powerful being in this domain. She was in complete control. The witch gave a little to mask her momentary stumble, then said, "Yes, I finished. Now tell me, is the fireplace going? I'm rather tired and would like to rest." "But of course, Morgana. I put fresh kindling on the fire not long ago. It should be nice and warm for your nap." "Very well." Morgana lowered her gaze and made to leave the maid behind. But then she realized something seemed very wrong. How does the maid know my name? Yeah, I was thinking that. Like, okay, so she... Wait, no, because she did remember that she was Giselle, but she forgot again, so yeah, how did she know that? Is she starting to remembering again? A chill ran down her back. If the maid's mind was still broken, she would never call Morgana by that name, because she believed it to be her own. Cold jade eyes remained fixed on Golden. A smile spread across the maid's lips. The witch could not, though. "Are you Giselle? If so, why? Why would she pretend to be the maid if she still retained herself? What was her objective? Why was she wearing that unsettling smile if she was Giselle? Who on earth was she? For the first time, she felt something like fear for the maid, for Giselle. She was the witch, though. She was supposed to be the one everyone feared. She was the master of the house. She was the most powerful being in this tiny domain. So why did she feel like Giselle of all people had taken the upper hand? She had to have been imagining it. Giselle was her faithful maid, and she was the all-powerful witch. However, that dynamic only existed as it did because Giselle had Michelle to wait for. Ooh. That's right. Ooh. I wonder if Giselle is... if her letting Michelle go... Like she was very broken as the maid. I wonder if, like, her letting Michelle go and that she doesn't have him to wait for anymore, that was like the last drop, and now she's kind of getting this grudge against Morgana because basically it's Morgana who made her into the maid. If she hadn't become the maid, if she hadn't been that broken, then she could have had Michelle in her mind. Like, she could have either way because Michelle loved her, but like, what if in her mind she blames Morgana for losing Michelle? And now they both are here like two kind of powerful beings in this realm. One of them having a grudge against the other. Interesting. Very interesting. Her one source of hope, and her weakness. But now that he was gone, and Giselle no longer had any hope, would she really stay in Morgana's servitude for eternity? While you were asleep, I spent some time organizing my thoughts. Is that so? The witch said. It is. After Hayden's death, you told me the 3 men who wronged you, and your enmity for them. That may have happened, yes. And then you told me how you made a wish for them. A wish that they would undergo reconstruction and meet their tragic demises again. Yes, what of it? Something about it doesn't quite sit right with me. I have only heard the events from your perspective though, so I can only speculate on what it means. But a story told from one perspective is necessarily colored by that perspective. If the speaker believes something, it becomes true within that telling, regardless of the reality of it. I am quite familiar with this phenomenon, as I have fallen into this trap before. What are you implying? Are you trying to say I'm wrong about what happened to me? I cannot say. And the only one who could is no longer with us. Any chance we had of knowing the truth is now lost forever. However, unlike you, I was there with all three of them for their second lives. And in particular, my impression of the man in the third door, who you refer to as the Lord, does not line up with your depiction of him in certain ways. Would you really call him a heartless monster? Why wouldn't I? The witch said. He passed goblets of my blood around to noblemen like wine. Does that sound like someone who has a heart? Giselle didn't back down in the face of Morgana's intense glare. In fact, she took another step closer. Morgana was starting to feel like she was at a disadvantage, despite full confidence she was right. And what if you were mistaken about some fundamental detail? Mistaken? No, there was nothing to mistake. The Lord was a monster. He was one when he drained her blood for feasts, and he was one when he locked her in the tower. That was the simple truth of it. Why then did she feel like her chest was in a vice every time she told herself that? Why had her hand shaken before killing him? And why on earth did her mind keep imagining him begging to atone as someone completely unrelated? For a heartbeat, a vision of that lonely graveyard swelled up in her mind. Standing there was a slain man whose name and face and voice she had long forgotten. The one who had taught her kindness. I chose not to stop you though, Giselle said. And why do you think I did that? Enough games. Out with it already. What are you scheming? Oh, I would never. I simply wanted one thing. For you to lose everything as well. Ooh. There it is. Yeah, alright. So I was kind of right in my feeling there that she might hold a grudge. Like, yeah, Morgana kind of made her lose all that she held dear. Like her own self and her memories of Michel and like even Michel himself. So, yeah. Ooh. The witch glowered at Giselle, who was still wearing the same lonely smile. She had no idea what that inscrutable woman was trying to say. She had already lost everything. That was what had driven her to become a spiteful witch in the first place, drifting outside time for all eternity. Giselle placed a hand on the witch's cheek. Jade and golden eyes locked, mere inches apart. And there, the witch gazed into the eyes of another witch. You surrendered yourself to hatred, becoming a witch who brandishes curses. And I surrender myself to solitude, becoming a witch who brandishes desolation. This is a world too painful to live in if you don't love solitude, after all. No, there's only one witch, me. And why might you think that? Because I'm the one who started it all. I'm the one who created this mansion, and I'm its master. I bear more hatred than anyone. I'm the one. As departed souls, we're formed by our will and our emotions. How do you know my despair, sorrow, and solitude aren't stronger than the hatred that makes you? And then, with an unsettling cold smile that radiated pure emptiness, the smile of the true witch, she She offered the girl one final thought. Can you be certain the lord you killed was the same lord? And with those words, that tiny, insignificant realm became devoid of even pain. Wow. That was... I don't even have words. Like, that ending though, I love that. Like, seeing Giselle become a witch as well. That is so cool. And also, again, so tragic. Like, it's so interesting to like see what would have happened if we hadn't been able to like convince her that our memories and what we have been through was worth fighting for. If she had been left alone, if we had not saved her, and also if we hadn't saved Morgana. If that ending had happened, reincarnation would never have happened. Very interesting. I very much enjoying that, and I'm looking at the time. I feel like it's time for a stretchy break, and also I need to do something because I cannot breathe because my nose has decided to clog up again, even though it's been fine all day, but apparently talking or reading for too long isn't very good, apparently, when you're sick. So yeah, a short stretchy break, and then we see each other again soon and read Boy Meets Girl, which seems interesting. We will see what it will be about. I'm guessing it could be like... It could be about Mel and Nelly, I guess, but I don't know. We will see. Shame I didn't get House of Fata Giselle. Yeah, no, that would have been a whole different story. It could have been an interesting game, for sure, but I am happy with what we have. Also, the house in Fata Giselle doesn't really have the same ring to it, you know? Stretchy dance time? I hope not. I hope my model will stay in place, so... Yeah, we do have a lot of boys and girls, that is very true, so we will see who it is about. Like, just my mind, because boy and girl, it makes it sound young, so that makes me think like Mel and Nelly, but then again they already know each other, if it's not like from reincarnation, so we will see. But yeah, let's stretch for a bit, but don't go anywhere too far away because I will be back soon, so see you in a few minutes. Alright, I am back. Still have the same problem because apparently it's not my nose that is the problem. It's like that lid I have been talking about. It is like between my throat and my nose that is messing things up. So yeah, this is what I will have to work with. But it was nice to stretch a bit and get some more water at least. So yeah. Doesn't have a double meaning either with the Fata Morgana illusion. Yeah, that is also true. That's also why I really like the title of the house in Fata Morgana, because it has a double meaning. Like, it means the witch Morgana, but also the whole thing being like an illusion, which I really enjoy. Alright, let's jump into the next story. Boy meets girl. All I can think about when I say this is like Skater Boy with he was a boy, she was a girl, could I make it any more obvious, you know? Love the little jiggle Lolly does when you sit back down. It's like you're putting this costume back on. Yeah, I mean, don't you do that when you have a nap? Just recalibrating like, oh, you know? Again, very beautiful background. This sounds more joyful than the last one. I mean, the title does too, so, I mean... Oh, it's Michelle! Yay! Michelle was bored out of his mind. Oh, so it might be how... I wonder if this is how Michelle meets Giselle in their new life. Maybe. Or something like that. But I'm thinking they met... never mind. Never mind. I'm not gonna ramble. I wanna read. Michelle was bored out of his mind. His family had always been very overprotective, but at the age of 10 he was still afforded a lot of freedom. He wasn't quite old enough to have to start acting like an adult yet, and in light of what fate had in store for him much later, this would turn out to be one of the happier periods of his life. Yeah, it is reincarnation OST, you're right. Yeah, it is nice. Even as a child, Michelle understood his place within the Bollinger family. Okay, so it's not... It is from the past then, so it's not reincarnation, but it is reincarnation OST. Interesting. I think the song from the last story that we read, The Pain, also was from reincarnation. Interesting. I like that they mix it up a bit. He was obedient and did his best to not step on anyone else's toes. But balling up his desires for so long put him at risk of blowing up. Especially on days like this where there was an opening. His mother, who said, "Listen to your mother," as though it were part of her breathing, just so happened to be out of the house. So he wanted to do something different, to let out all his pent-up boredom. 10 years old, not quite old to act adult. Yeah, I was gonna say, this is probably not modern. Yeah, exactly. Modern people are children at least until 35. Oh yeah, how does that work when you're a vampire that is 231? Like, what does that make me? Am I still a vampire child then? Question mark? He wanted to make this into a day he would remember. And since his mother had taken many of the servants with her, there was no one to get on his case if he acted out a bit. However, he had no idea what to do with his newfound free time. It was just drifting past him, every passing moment another moment wasted. One thing I must say though here, is that I really like that since this is the past, and we haven't, like, he's very young here apparently, so like it's not like he has had that revelation that, oh, I'm a guy. So he's being like treated like he's a girl still. I do like that they still write him as him. I appreciate that so much. Like, it's so it's so nice that they do that. Like, let's not do with the whole being a girl bullshit. Like, we know that it's not true, so we don't need to do that, and I enjoy that a lot. I mean, in terms of lifespan, 35 is the new 10 on average. Yeah. Ages are interesting. Like, I feel the older you get, the more you realize that you're never really fully adult. Like, I remember being a teenager, like 30-year-olds, they were so adult. Like, they were so adult. But like, going past that is like, yeah, no. I still don't know what I do with my life. So I'll just have to ask George. Different creatures age at different pace too. Yeah, that is true. That is true. He may have been a precious child, but Michelle was still a child nonetheless. And he genuinely believed his brother would have some idea what to do. I think I read that wrong. It's not precious, it's precocious. I'm sorry, I know how to read words. If his eldest brother Didier had been around, Michelle could have gone to play chess with him or watch him train, but regrettably, only his eccentric middle brother was home. Regrettably, poor George. I would have loved to hang out with George personally. 10 days earlier, George had proclaimed he was going to paint a masterpiece. Michelle hadn't seen him since. Maybe he was dead. Oh my god! And like, not even caring, like, maybe he's dead. That would kind of suck. Michelle! Oh my god, poor George! Poor George! The poor baby. He doesn't get enough love. Michelle didn't want to deal with reporting a body. Oh my god. Child Michelle is savage, my goodness. Though, in all seriousness, his brother was probably just in a special place and had lost track of time. Michelle made his way to his brother's room, a process that would usually involve running into half-dozen servants, but today, the Bollinger estate was quiet as a graveyard. He felt like humming as he walked through the corridors, but couldn't think of any songs. George would be haunting him if that was the case, yeah. Him not getting enough love, is that why he did what he did? Oof, oof. I mean, no. Him doing what he did was basically because George just is a big dum-dum that doesn't use his brain cells, honestly. Doesn't excuse it, but like, that's why he did what he did, honestly. It's a cute trait until he does something stupid like that. If only he wasn't so ignorant about the arts and recreation, maybe he wouldn't be such a horribly boring person. But today, Michelle wasn't in the mood for those kinds of depressing thoughts. He stood before the door to his brother's room, knocked timidly, and then let himself in. "Hey George, do you have..." he said, but he was unable to finish the sentence. His brother was splayed out on the floor like a corpse. Oh my god. And Michelle being like, "Wait, I was right." He really had found a body. Oh my god, I love this. Michelle stood in the doorway, frozen and useless like one of his brother's sculptures. The air in the room was stale from having been closed for so long. George! After several long minutes, Michelle was finally able to use his voice again. He ran over to the body and dropped to his knees, shaking his brother's shoulders on the verge of tears. This was his punishment for saying it would suck having to deal with a dead body. Oh my god. Yeah, you're just a junkie, oh god. George, please come back to me. What happened? Ah! Ah! The corpse lurched forward, causing a breeze that stunk of paint. Michel shuffled backwards on his knees, his heart pounding so hard it felt like it would jump out of his chest. George gazed up stupidly at his in-progress painting, heaving a heavy sigh. Are you okay, George? Maybe you should get some rest. Oh, didn't see you there, Michel. Michel wanted to disappear. He felt like an idiot for getting so worked up over someone only to have them see straight past him. That's all you have to say? After worrying me like that? Huh? I was just sleeping. Nothing to worry about. Your bed is for sleeping, not the floor. George chortled. Did you need something? Oh, yes, Michel said. Mother and most of the servants are out of the house for the day. There's some kind of trouble? No, no trouble. George tilted his head until it was almost horizontal. A few moments later he clapped loudly and said, Aha! So you're bored? He was right, but Michel couldn't bring himself to just say, Yes, I'm bored, please give me attention. So he averted his eyes and said instead, I will not say I'm bored, but it's just so rare for the house to be so empty, and I... George chuckled. You're right, he said with an impish smirk. Michel braced himself, fearing his brother was going to tease him. We all need a change of pace every once in a while. Some real excitement to mix things up. I've been running short on inspiration with these last few days too. So he was not ready for what his brother said instead. Let's go out on the town, George proclaimed. Oh God. At which Michel went positively bug-eyed. Now, this is a point that bears repeating. Michel's family was very overprotective of him. In part because he was so sensitive to the son, but mostly because he was a daughter of noble blood. He wasn't a vampire, so the son wouldn't kill him, but because of the circumstances of his birth, he was almost never allowed to go into the city. If he was lucky, he got to go down once a year, but always for some kind of business. The city was like a giant cave filled with gold and jewels, but guarded by a big, ferocious, poisonous dragon, and he could only ever see a little bit of it. So he was thrilled. So much so that he had been raised with fewer hawks watching over him. I can't read. He probably would have broken into dance, and maybe even a musical number. Oh God, I would have loved to see that. But he knew how to restrain himself, and restrain himself he did. When they arrived at the capital's central district, it was much busier than Michel had expected. Ooh. Here's a thought. I have a theory of what this is going to be. Is it going to meet Giselle as a child? Because didn't her family live at the capital? Or am I misremembering? Because it is titled Boy Meets Girl. And that would be very cute if they had met like when they were kids, but don't remember it because, you know, kids. There were people everywhere, going every which way, doing anything and everything and even more. Someone was shouting from a shop, trying to attract customers. Their voice was rough and deep and loud, nothing like the quietly refined voices of everyone at home. A cat sat perched atop a barrel, covered in filth, glaring at Michel with eyes that seemed to glow. His mother would probably hate this, her anxiety was too strong. She would say it was too loud and unrefined, refusing to even set foot here. But Michel thought there was a beauty specifically in the discord. George laughed merrily at the sight of Michel looking around in wonder. Looks like we're in for even more excitement than we bargained for, George exclaimed. Is it not safe here in the city? Oh heck no it ain't! You let your guard down for 3 seconds and you're dead meat. Don't listen to anyone who says they have something good for you, you hear me? 9 times out of 10, they're gonna toss you in a big black cauldron and eat you right up. Don't scare him like that, George. I mean, yeah, he should be careful, but like, especially since people are going to see him like a little girl, and we all know that the world is not safe for little girls, sadly. But like, don't scare him. That's just how it is in a big city. What? Michelle went pale as a ghost. And 3 seconds later, George burst out laughing. He'd been tricked. Michelle flushed bright red. His cheeks were getting quite a workout today. If there's anyone I shouldn't listen to, it's you, George. I ain't lying. Just playing a little joke, that's all. Only a little kid would fall for that. One of these days, Michelle was going to get George back, beat him at his own game. This, his brother said, giving him a quick wink. This is the excitement I was talking about. He placed an outstretched finger on Michelle's chest, right above his heart, and pushed gently. There's gonna be some real fireworks if anyone realizes who you are. He was right. Michelle's mother would tear his head off if she found out her daughter was wandering around town in commoner's clothing. He wore a battered brown robe instead of an elaborate dress, and his hair was tied up and hidden inside a hat. At a glance, no one would clock him as a noble girl, but he still felt awkward and out of place, and people were more likely to notice that. George, meanwhile, had done this before, and they really owned the commoner look. This kind of makes me think of House of the Dragon. I don't know how many of you guys have seen it, but like, there's a part in the first season where, oh god, what's her name? Rhaenyra is going out to town, like, and wearing like commoner clothes, her hair being hidden so she looks like a boy, and people like thinks that she's a boy. Kind of reminds me of that scene a bit. Luckily, I think George is better company than Rhaenyra's uncle, that I can't remember the name of either. Like, I feel horrible, but the names are just out of my mind today. So, yeah. Great explanation, Lolly. Great explanation. If Michelle didn't know better, he would think his brother was a traveling troubadour or something. I have read the book Fire and Blood, but not seen the show. Okay, yeah. For me it's the other way around. I have the book, but I have not read it yet. I kind of wanted to read Game of Thrones before that, but I want to wait until the books are finished, and well, that's probably never happening, so... Oh yeah, Daemon. That was on my mind, but I was like, no, wait, that's Vampire Diaries. But yeah, you're right. If you say his name is Daemon, then yeah, his name probably is Daemon. Hello, Keg. Welcome, welcome. You are also awesome and amazing. You really are a strange man, George. Did you just now figure that out, kid? No, just... That's part of my charm. I hope one day I can be as confident as you. George was probably the only person in that house who considered trouble fun. If Michelle had asked one of the servants to help sneak him into the city, they would have certainly taken off running, shouting about how they didn't want to lose their head. As a Bollinger himself, George would likely be allowed to keep his head, but even he wouldn't get off scot-free for this. I mean, George is the troublemaker of the family, so... George is the fun brother, I would say. I would love to have a brother like him and just make trouble. Although I am very much like Michelle, I'm very like reserved and not really a troublemaker, but it would be fun to like have someone like that as a brother. Like family. Michelle was glad he had George here with him. He didn't say that though. And also I feel like he's good for Michelle because he's like showing him experiences that he would never be able to have if he didn't have a brother like that. Because Didier would not take him out here. Partly from embarrassment, and partly because he knew he'd be teased for it. So, where should we go? Oh, it's George said. So, where should we go? Wanna hit the pub, grab some cheap booze and toss silver at the bar? Maybe we should ease into things. That's a lot to start with. It's not like I can take you to a monster's den. Just relax, it'll be fun. A pub is still no place for children. Hey, it's better than like the whorehouse that Damon took Renera to, so just saying. Ah. Come on, I may be a dunce, but I'm not dumb enough to take you to some seedy back alley joint. Most of the pubs along this main road are basically restaurants during the day. Some even have inns in them. There'll be lots of very nice people. If you say so. Michelle was less comforted and more terrified at the prospect of there being lots of people, but part of him was still interested. Not to mention, he wouldn't be going alone, so he gave a hesitant nod. If you're scared, you can always hold my hand, George said. Forward march, my young soldier, follow my lead. Michelle wasn't happy about his sprightly, airheaded brother playing him like a fiddle, but this was a battle his pride couldn't win. Holding on to his brother's pant leg, they set off down the bustling street together. But not for long. Michelle stood flummoxed in the middle of the street. He looked left. No George. Right. No George. Had he gotten lost? Didn't you hold on to him, Michelle? What happened? What did you do? No way. He had been right there just moments ago. There were just too many people around and he lost sight of his brother for a second. He wasn't lost yet. Michelle was better than that. He would never get lost. Sure, sweetie, sure. But his pride couldn't change reality. They were on their way to the pub when George had run into a girl he knew and started talking. It didn't seem like they were going to finish anytime soon, so Michelle had decided to wander around and explore the area. Ah, I see. That's how it went. I see. George is a witch, confirmed. One thing led to another, and now he'd completely lost sight of his brother. Refusing to accept that he was lost, Michelle started chasing after people the same height and build as George. When one turned out to be wrong, he went after another, and before he knew it, he was well off the main road with no idea how to get back. Yeah, I've been there, done that. Like, not in a road, but I have done that, like, in a store once when I was a kid. Like, I lost my mom, and I remember I wanted to buy, I think it was like a picture book of, like, Disney's Jungle Book, and I really wanted it. So I ran to a person. She had the same jacket as my mom. So I was like, Mom, can I buy this? Or can you buy this for me? And she turned around and she wasn't my mom. And I was like, oh my God, this is a strange lady. And she was like, oh no, I'm not your mom. And I'm like, oh no, sorry, I thought you were her, but I guess not. Super embarrassed. Ran away like looking for mom again, and I think I found her and then asked her, and she was like, yeah, it's fine by me, but ask your dad too. Like, so I went and asked dad that I could find, because he was very tall, so it was easy to find him. And then when he said yes, I ran back to tell my mother that it was fine, so I could like add it to the shopping cart. Guess what I do? I run back to the same lady and be like, oh, he said it was okay. And she was like, when she turned around, I was like, oh shit, this is embarrassing. So I just went with it and just like, I just wanted to tell you. Like, bye, strange lady. It was so embarrassing. So yeah, I can understand just looking for someone with the same build that looks somewhat similar. I get the situation. This area was much quieter than the main street. Not being familiar with cities, Michelle couldn't tell if it was a good kind of quiet or a bad one though. How did you even survive that? I know, right? It was embarrassing. I think I survived it because I was a child, so It wasn't like as bad as if I had been like a teenager or something, then I would have died, but yeah, it was awkward. And I just love that I just went for it, really. Instead of like, oh no, I mistaked you again. I just wanted to tell you. Oh. Maybe he just wandered from the trade district to the residential one. Or maybe he'd ended up in some back alley where no one could hear him scream. If the latter, he needed to get out of there, and fast. Back alleys were the home of ruffians and other unseemly types, after all. And who knew what they would do if they found out he was a noble? That compounded with the fact that he was too shy to ask for help, and too self-conscious to let himself be seen crying or even shaking, left him stuck there just biting his lip. Aw, poor baby Michelle. George, why did you let him go? Why did none of my books say what to do when you get lost? And soon enough he was directing his frustration at innocent bystanders. But then he caught sight of a stout woman around his mother's age watching him intently. 9 times out of 10 they're gonna toss you in a big black cauldron and eat you right. I love that is what he's thinking of right now. Oh my god. George's words played back in Michelle's mind. He knew it was a lie, and the woman appeared rather friendly and not at all like a child-devouring witch. But Michelle was all alone right now, so everyone seemed dangerous. He was like a high-strung cat. Michelle glared back at the woman, so she knew he wouldn't go down without a fight. You sure, Michelle, you sure? And as soon as they locked eyes, she spoke. He couldn't make any sense of what she said, though. My, look at you two little sweethearts. Shopping together. You're so grown up. What? 2 little sweethearts. Was she trying to disorient him by spouting nonsense so she could kidnap him while his guard was down and demand a ransom from his family? Hey, mister, came a voice as something tugged on his robe. He spun around to find a small girl looking up at him and sucking her thumb, evidently the source of the voice. Who are you? She asked. No, who are you? He stared at her, flummoxed from the second time that day. My daddy got lost, the girl said. Are you sure that it's not the other way around? Question mark. I think you mean you got lost. Are you lost too, mister? No, it's my brother who's lost. Oh my god, it's so cute. We're the same. My situation is nowhere near as bad as yours, thank you. Michelle listened to what the girl had to say, doing his best not to explode at her. She was apparently 3 years old and had gotten separated from her father while out shopping. 3 years old. Hang on a sec. Hang on. Trying to do quick math. Yeah, I think I did some quick math. I'm not sure if I did the counting right, but yeah. This gotta be Giselle, because Giselle is younger than Michelle is. And especially if they are this young, they're not gonna remember this, so, I mean, yeah. His hands were full enough trying to figure out what to do with himself. The last thing he needed was to have to look after a lost toddler on top of that. He really should have asked the woman for help as soon as he noticed her. By the time he'd collected himself enough to do anything, she'd already said goodbye and disappeared. Unable to find her again, Michelle was stuck dealing with the calamity all on his own. He couldn't just leave it there either, as much as he didn't want to deal with it. He was the older one here, and he had to set a good example for her. So Michelle bent down to match the girl's eye level and said, "Let's get you home. I'll help you find it." "Can you remember anything near your home that might help us find it?" Michelle asked. The girl ummed and erred for several minutes before shouting, "Oh, I do!" "Perfect, what is it?" Maybe this whole lost kid ordeal will be over sooner than expected. He let out a sigh of relief. A brown cat! Which immediately turned into a sigh of disappointment. Cats move, Michelle said. It has really mean eyes. Oh, forget about the cat already. Can you think of anything that doesn't move? I know. Monsieur Casimir is always sitting outside. No people either. Why not? He never ever moves from his favorite spot. I need something easier to find, like a building or something. Oh, there are lots of buildings, the girl exclaimed. Oh my god. Poor Michelle. At least he doesn't have to be scared of being lost because he's so fixated on this now. The lady next door has a big flower garden. They're really pretty and red. Not like that. No one's going to know about your neighbor's flower garden. There has to be something big that anyone would... Michelle realized he was getting genuinely angry and stopped himself there. The girl's eyes had gotten wide and watery, and it looked like the dam would burst at any second. He closed his eyes and shook his head, disappointed in himself. Here he was getting mad at a 3-year-old girl who was just doing her best to answer his questions. Are you mad at me? She asked. No, I'm not mad at you. Michelle took a deep breath, letting it out slowly to release some of his frustration. He needed to adjust his expectations. She was just a little kid, and she wasn't always going to know the right thing to say. What am I supposed to do then? He'd been raised in almost complete isolation from the world, with only adults around to interact with. Even his brothers were a good deal older than him, so he'd never been in a situation where there were so many barriers to communication, and he was utterly clueless as to how to handle it. Would he actually even be able to help the girl get home? Gems! said the girl out of nowhere, interrupting Michelle's train of thought. She reached a soft, pudgy little hand up and patted his cheek with it, right beneath his eye. Aww, that's cute. At which he froze, dumbstruck. 1 second she was on the verge of tears. The next her eyes were glimmering inquisitively. What was she even talking about? Your eyes, silly. She thinks they look like gems. Where did gems come from? This is just how little kids are, I guess. I wonder if I was like this at her age too. Do your eyes hurt? She asked. Huh? Why would they? Because you got gems in them. Oh my god! This is so cute! Oh, so that's what she meant. His red eyes. Michelle understood now, but he wasn't very thrilled about the topic. He didn't like the color of his eyes, or his hair, or his skin. It was all because of them that he had to be holed up his whole life. That's just what color my eyes are. There are no gems in them, and it doesn't hurt. Wow, they're so pretty! Pretty. Michelle blushed a little at the compliment, despite thinking just moments ago he would rather talk about literally anything else. He received compliments on his eyes often enough from his mother and the servants. But this was the first time one had ever felt genuine, with nothing behind it. When his mother said his eyes were pretty, she was envisioning him as an angel sent down to earth. When the servants did it, it was because of their status. They were never saying it about him, and only him. But the girl, she was. There was no jealousy or pity or scorn or anything else to her words. She was simply excited about the eyes she thought were pretty. I think normal eyes are much prettier myself, he said, without a hint of sarcasm in his voice. Okay, let's go somewhere where there's more people to start with, he continued. Michel stood up, hesitated for a few moments, and then extended his hand. The girl grabbed it excitedly, which made him feel like he was the only one anxious about the whole thing. "I'll come with you, mister. You need someone to help you find your brother." She's adorable! Oh my god, I love her. You still need to work on those one-liners. She is 3, Dudor. You're the one who's lost, remember? Wait, mister? Right? Oh, Michelle just now realized that she had been calling him Mister this entire time. He'd forgotten that George had dressed him up like a boy, seeing it was safer that way. How was he supposed to feel in this situation? Upset that she guessed wrong? Embarrassed? Ashamed of himself for deceiving her? The emotions welled up in her chest were none of those though. Instead, Michelle felt something that seemed entirely inexplicable at the time. A mixture of joy and pride at someone finally acknowledging him for who he was. A faint smile spread across his face. "Yes, I'm a boy," he said, letting each word linger on his lips. It felt so much better than any comment about his eyes. Aww. That's sweet. Like she acknowledged him even before he knew what was going on. Before they officially got to know each other. That's so cute. They wound their way down the streets, Michelle occasionally working up the courage to ask someone for directions, and after repeating the process several times, they finally made it back on the main road. Michelle wasn't sure if it was the same road where he had gotten separated from George though. The capital was massive, and it seemed like every other street was called Main Street. As they stepped out into the throng, the clock struck noon. The pealing of the bell brought with it another wave of people. They looked to be artisans of all sorts heading out for the lunch breaks. Apparently this main street collected a bunch of workshops on it. The artisans were all big men with even bigger arms. Their profession was making things by hand, and you had to be well built to do the job well. Michelle found herself enchanted by the parade of muscles, following each new one with his eyes as they passed by. "Do you want to be like them, mister?" "I don't know. I haven't really thought about my future much." Michelle grimaced. It wasn't that he hadn't thought about it, but that he didn't want to. He knew all too well that he could never be an artisan, or a knight, or even a painter. "I kinda want to be a craftsman," the girl said. "They can make anything they want." "Girls can't be craftsmen." "Why not?" "Well, that was just how the world worked. Those were the rules, and you had to follow them. End of story." Michelle was only 10, and he knew that. He knew what a girl's role was, and soon enough she would come to know all that as well. That growing up meant giving up on your dreams. "I'm not sure, actually." At first he just didn't want to shatter a 3-year-old girl's hopes. But the more he thought about it, the more dissatisfied he felt with the system too. Why didn't he get to choose how to live his own life? Why did he have to be stuck on this dark and narrow road his whole life? "What would you want to make as a craftsman?" Michelle asked to take his mind off his own dead-end future. The girl's eyes lit up. "Leather sandals and bags," she proclaimed. "That's quite practical." He had assumed she would say something more cute and frivolous, like toys and sweets, or even something completely outrageous like stars. "So we can put them out." Put them out? Not put them on? Wait, was she? "Does your family run a shop?" "Yep." Okay, so she was the daughter of a merchant, which meant they were probably close. The artisans' workshops and the merchants' shops were likely to be set up near one another. Michelle looked down to ask her if she recognized anything in the area, but before he could, she shouted, "Ah!" and let go of his hand, dashing into the bustling street. "Hey, wait!" If he lost sight of her now, he would probably never find the girl again. So he ran off after her, slamming into a large muscular man only a few seconds later. "Watch it!" the man shouted, his voice so powerful Michelle thought it might send him flying. His gut tightened. No one had ever yelled at him like that before, but it wasn't going to stop just because he got a little scared. He'd only met the girl earlier that day, and didn't even know her name, but he was determined to get her back to her parents. Giving up now wasn't an option for him. The girl weaved through the crowds effortlessly, like a sprite out of a story. Meanwhile, Michelle was crashing into people every 3 steps and was beginning to fear he was actually making negative progress. At long last, he made it through the river of people and caught sight of her again. But what he saw made his jaw drop. She charged at an older man latching onto his leg. The man looked down at her, his eyes narrowed as if he was frowning, or about to start crying. He was very clearly the girl's father. In addition to his relief at the reunion, he also found himself surprised at the father's reaction. His only image of a father was a strict and impassive man, not someone who would show so much concern and compassion for his daughter. His father cared more about putting on an appearance of strength than showing love for his family. He would certainly never cry over one of his kids. That would make him look weak. And Michelle had always thought that was just how fathers were. But there was nothing weak about the girl's father being so happy to have her back. "Are you the one that found my little pumpkin?" Her father walked over to where Michelle was standing, grabbed both of his hands and shook them up and down enthusiastically. "Thank you ever so much. I just about had a heart attack when I saw she was gone. Oh, I'm so glad she's safe," he said, and then kept going and going until Michelle felt like his arms were going to come off. You're welcome. That's enough." When the man finally let him go, Michelle's arms had gone numb. "I'm ever so sorry," he said, scratching his head in embarrassment. "I got too excited." The girl, hanging off her father's leg like a koala, said, "Don't get lost anymore, Daddy." "You're the one who got lost, Pumpkin," he said with a sigh. But he was too relieved to be angry at her, and his frown turned right upside down. Michelle let out a satisfied sigh at the sight of them. He completed his mission successfully, despite the trouble he'd run into along the way, and everything was all back to normal now. Did we ever learn how her father died? Was it illness? I don't know. She might have mentioned it, but I don't remember it right now. Like, if she mentioned it, it must have been like very briefly. I just know that he died. So, sorry, I can't really remember. "So, did you bring her all by yourself?" the man asked. Everything was all back to normal, in the sense that he was finally back at square one. He still had his original problem to deal with. "I was here with my brother," he said timidly, "but we got split up." "See, I knew you were lost, mister," the girl said. He wanted to say he knew exactly where he was, but he knew an adult would see right through him. So he stared down at his feet in shame, at which her father let out a hearty laugh and set a hand on his head. "We'll help you find your brother then. He's probably having a heart attack right about now too." "He's not worried," Michelle said under his breath, but secretly he hoped the girl's father was right. "I think you should be worried. Like, you're still just a baby, and you're not used to being outside, so yeah, I think he would be worried. He may be like an airhead, but he still cares a lot." Michelle told the girl's dad they were going to a pub on the main street, and just a few minutes later they were standing across the street from it. It was amazing how much quicker it was when you had someone who knew the area to show you the way. And it made Michelle feel that much worse about all the time we spent wandering through the back streets. Like George had said, the pub acted as a restaurant during the day, and it was packed to the brim with men on their lunch breaks. Eating had always been a quiet affair in Michelle's life, so this was a brand new experience for him. It felt like he'd come to a festival. Before long, they caught sight of a man pacing back and forth in front of the building. It was his brother, George. And when he spotted Michelle, he frantically ran over, shouting, Michelle! So frantically, in fact, he tripped over his own feet and face-planted halfway there. Yeah, he cares. But the bigger fool George made of himself, the happier it made Michelle. What I tell you, the girl's father said, patting him on the shoulder. George? Yeah? After things had settled down and they had parted ways with the girl and her father, George and Michelle sat down for a late lunch. It was a very primitive meal, consisting of thin pieces of torn meat placed on slices of bread and eaten with only your hands. Michelle was having a great deal of difficulty with it. Oh no, a sandwich! How primitive! Were you worried about me? He asked, trying to be as casual as possible. George took a swig of some watery wine to wash down what he had in his mouth, then pounded his chest a few times. He swallowed, opened his mouth and let out an impressively colossal belch. Michelle had never seen his brother act so unrefined, but apparently that kind of behavior was allowed here. It seemed to even be the norm. The heck you talking about, kid? Of course I was! I just about had a heart attack when I saw you were gone. That was more excitement than you signed up for, huh? Mother would be very unhappy with you. I mean, yeah, I don't want to go through another one of her lectures, George said with a strained laugh. He looked softer and more affectionate than his usual vivacious self. But mostly I was scared something would happen to you, Michelle. Michelle's hand froze in midair, holding a piece of the meat on bread thing. I thought you would just laugh it off if you lost me, honestly. What do you think I am? Some kind of cold-hearted monster? I'm just joking, Michelle said, sneaking a peek at his brother's pouting face over his meat. He wanted to give a nice, hearty laugh, but the most he could manage was a restrained smile. And for a child who didn't smile much at all, he'd done quite a bit of that today. Hey, George? Yeah? I'm sorry for disappearing on you like that. George's jaw dropped. Well, I'll be damned. I never thought I'd hear you apologize for anything, Michelle. What do you think I am? Some kind of emotionless hobgoblin? I'm just pulling your leg. I'm sorry for not keeping a better eye on you two. Maybe if you weren't so busy looking at every single girl we walked past, that wouldn't have been a problem. Come on, don't twist the knife. That's where we're supposed to hug and say, yeah, we both messed up. George put his face in his hand and faked crying for a few seconds. And when he looked up again, he had a big smile on his face, which put a little bit of one on Michelle's as well. His father would never panic like that, no matter what happened to Michelle. He was too concerned about appearances. But his brother was different. George got scared for him, almost cried for him, panicked so much he made a complete fool of himself. And that was enough. Michelle didn't have to be jealous of the girl and her father. His family loved him too, and he was happy he'd had a chance to see for himself. Hey, George? Yeah? Let's do this again sometime. Heck yeah. Next time Mom and Dad and a scary big brother are out, let's go. It was extremely rare that they were all out of the house at the same time, so it was possible there would never be a next time. But Michelle still dreamed of the day it would happen. Even if it was a few years from now, as long as this wasn't the last time, he would be happy. Oof. Does that mean that this is the last time? Because I mean, if it doesn't happen that often... And he's 10 now, and, well, things started to go to shit when he turned 14, so... Yeah. That was the knife in the heart I didn't need. And when he came back, he would go see that girl again. He'd go find her family's shop, and if there was a pair of leather sandals and a bag for sale, he would buy them. But then he asked the girl what her name was. Would she even remember him in a few years? Would he even remember her in a few years? In all likelihood, neither of them would remember this day, but the little dream didn't hurt anyone. He could still feel her soft hands in his, and he could still see her big inquisitive eyes, like two little balls of glimmering jade. Oh, that's cute. That's so cute. And I loved that little confirmation, like, yes, this was Giselle, and how they met for the first time. That's adorable. I love that story. It's so cute. And a nice, like, change of pace from all the pain as well. Emotionless hobgoblin sounds right. Yeah. By the way, the next 3 short stories combined are like 2/3 of less the length of these 2 individual ones, all very short. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Because I was going to ask, like, do we have time for one more? Because it is Saturday, I don't need to, like, I do have plans, but not as many plans as during like a normal weekday, so I feel like we could go for one more. Although I kind of need to take a short break again, so sorry, but being sick does that to you. So I need to like stretch a bit and also see if I can do something to not sound like a clogged up, well, something. All about Fata Morgana is pain, but it's a good pain. Agree. I never complain about the pain. The pain is lovely, even though it's also very painful, but I do enjoy it a lot. I'm one of those people who enjoy very sad and tragic stories, so yeah. But it was still nice to have like something cute as well, and still very much like in the house in Fata Morgana, because it's nice to see like that he had some happiness in his life before everything went terrible. Like, it wasn't just when he met Giselle, like in their adult lives, but that he had like, some happy times during his childhood as well. So that was very cute to see. But yeah, short break, probably shorter than the last one. So don't go anywhere, I will be back very soon. Not sure if I managed to fix anything, but it felt nice to stand up still, and also my leg, the one that I had a blood clot in before, has started to hurt a bit, so it was nice to stand up and move around a bit. Alright, but I think this one will be the last for today, at least because, yeah, it's starting to get a bit late, my voice is starting to be a bit tired, but let's do one more. Silent Night, Lonely Night. I wonder if it's going to be Christmas themed or if it alludes to something else. Also, guys, can you imagine it's Christmas in just a few weeks? What happened to this year? Oh, it's this song. I love this song. This is my favorite one. And a beautiful picture of Michelle as well. Michel was even gloomier than usual. His ruby eyes gazed down at the letter from his mother. If it were a year prior, he would have been crying or shouting or throwing furniture, but nowadays, I rarely saw him explode at anything. And I preferred him this way. Getting loud and emotional over every little thing was what ordinary men did. But beneath Michel's gypsum skin flowed blood divine as mine. He was above them, and it did not befit him to behave as they did. Brooding in silence was much more appropriate behavior, also a lot more unhealthy behavior. I sat at the desk beside him, my chin resting on my hand. Michel could not see me there, though. Not that I wanted to watch him grimace in disgust at the horrifying scars on my face, of course. Michel, my dear. What? That was unexpected. He almost never responded to me anymore. Perhaps he wanted someone to speak with in his present tribulation. Michel briefly looked around the room for me, but no matter how hard he searched, his eyes would never find mine. You should hang it up, I said. Are you out of your mind? I'm just teasing you. I gave a little laugh, agitating him further. Today, his family has sent him Christmas decorations. Okay, so it is a Christmas story. I see. First, a handmade, probably by his mother, white floral wreath, a lovely thing that a young girl might like. Then there was a doll in frilly clothing, also intended for a girl. Oh, poor Michel. I expected Michel to toss it on in the fireplace this evening, but merely destroying it wouldn't erase the fact that he had received it. Nor that his mother would be expecting a response, not from Michel, but Michel. Despite my repeatedly asking her not to, my mother continued to send me these Christmas boxes as it gets cold. I'm starting to hate even the thought of Jesus Christ. You should direct your anger at your family, not the Holy Savior. Yes, I realize it's misplaced, but you could easily solve this with a curse. Just say the word. And you need to stop offering me that. As you wish. So this is when I got the white-eyed doll portrait. I think this is different from that, because that wasn't like a Christmas gift. It was just sent with his monthly package of food and stuff. But I don't know. We will see what will happen. Michel had changed a great deal since his first arrival at the mansion, but that was one thing he stubbornly refused to budge on. Did he really care about his family that much? He seemed to have drawn a line in the sand and convinced himself that if he stepped over it, he would be surrendering his humanity. But what he needed to realize was that he never had any to lose in the first place. So his concern was entirely irrelevant. I would spare him that lecture today, though. He was busy racking himself over the letter and Christmas. Michel? What? Having grown tired of resting my chin on my hand, I was now sitting on top of the desk, looking down at him. Again, he looked around for me with no luck. Tell me about Christmas. Your family lives on a rather large estate, don't they? Larger than this little mansion, at least. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's just... talking about when I was happy only makes me feel even worse now. I can understand that, I suppose. Michel had ever been happy? My family was too poor to put up Christmas decorations or do anything special for Epiphany. What gifts we did receive from the villagers all went straight to my mother, and I saw none of it. Though earthly desires were wrong, I believed, so I was hardly bothered by that. I was one who gave to those in need, after all. Michel, my dear. What? He glanced slightly upward. So close, but still not quite able to find me. Just saying your name. He appeared mildly annoyed, but didn't say anything in protest. Perhaps he thought it wouldn't make a difference, or had simply gotten used to me calling his name for the sake of it. Regardless, he reluctantly dropped his gaze back to the letter on the desk. I decided to leave him alone. He didn't seem willing to share his Christmas experiences, and I had nothing else to talk about. Morgana. Yes? That caught me off guard. Michelle almost never initiated. I tilted my head, even though I knew he couldn't see it. Do you want to celebrate Christmas? Is that it? Had he lost his mind? At what point had I ever said I wanted to celebrate a holiday? While I was busy being flabbergasted, Michel stood up and took the wreath in his hand. He then began searching the area for me. Where are you? Right here. That doesn't help me. Where's your head? Am I close? He asked, waving his hand around in air. That's my shoulder, I said, still not certain what he was trying to do. How about here? A little higher. Here? Yes, right there. Holding one hand there in the air, he took the other, the one holding the wreath, and brought it up to the same level, placing it right above my head. An awkward silence hung in the air for a few seconds as I failed to grasp what had just happened. Wreaths in my family were worn as headdresses. When I made one, I would place it on my mother's head like this. The gifts were the women of the house. I'm glad you're here, so I can pretend this was a gift for you instead. What are you... You asked about my family's Christmas. No, that wasn't what I meant. Why was he doing this? He went quiet for a moment, then smiled, which was all the answer I needed. It was a very self-defeating smile, not meant for me. Laughing at himself for putting so much weight on only one of the wreath's potential meanings. In sorrow for the family who refused to accept him. I made a very similar smile. Flowers would never befit me, after all. Not with one arm violently severed, and the other nothing but bone. I could never be the innocent little girl laughing with flowers in her hair. I have no interest in your wreath. Throw it in the fire. That's probably for the best, yes. And what we learned in that moment was that Christmas would never be a happy occasion for us. That said, it was better than I had expected nonetheless. We shared a certain energy there, staring in silence. That makes me so sad, because, I know that Christmas is different for everyone, but for me, it's very much a joyous time. It's, filled with warmth and coziness, and, I have been raised with my mom, who we jokingly call the Christmas Queen, because she goes all in for Christmas. She decorates the whole house. Her house is always the prettiest when it comes to Christmas decorations, and same with the Christmas tree. It's always beautiful, and she bakes and she prepares, and she gives me so many gifts. She gives everyone a lot of gifts, but especially me. I'm an only child and very spoiled. So for me it's a very joyous time, filled with warmth and coziness, and it makes me sad knowing that that's not the case for everyone. For some people it's just filled with dread and loneliness, here. And it's just sad to me, honestly. I know it's just one day per year, or one season, really. And it doesn't have to mean the same thing for everyone, but I just find it so sad that something so magical can mean something so the opposite for someone else. Yeah, pretending his mom didn't send him the wreath, that's also gut-wrenching. But I mean, it's a good thing that he can do that, I guess. I mean, he's coping with the situation, but he shouldn't have to. He really shouldn't have to, because he was never a girl. Like, even if he wasn't born, like, even if he wasn't intersex, let's say that he was trans, like, it wouldn't even matter, because, like, he is a guy, and it's so sad that his family cannot accept him for the way he is. Like, it's just heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking that still today, with our knowledge of everything, and like, it's still very much the same. Like, it's better, but it's far from perfect. Like, so many people suffer because we just can't be accepting, and it's heartbreaking. It's so sad. Like, we only have one life. Why spend it hating other people? I don't understand it. I will never understand that. Let's just accept people for who they are. Like, even if we don't understand it ourselves, let's just accept it. We can't understand everything, but just be accepting and nice to other people. Really. We don't really do gifts anymore. I never have any idea what I would want in the first place, so we just do money. Yeah, I mean, it's not really about the gifts for me either. Like, I enjoy the gifts, but I wouldn't be sad if I didn't get any. Like, it's just nice being able to, like, spend time with your family. It's and especially like here in Sweden, it gets very like cold and dreary during the winter. Like, even if we don't get any snow, it's still like, and especially like if we don't get any snow, it's a very depressing time. It's just dark all the time, and it's very cold, and it's not very nice, honestly. Like, I'm not a fan of winter, but Christmas for me is just very magical, because it's just filled with love and warmth, really, and caring for one another. It's never really been about the gifts. I enjoy the gifts, and I enjoy finding gifts for the people I love and like giving them something that they will like, but it's not really what it's about, really. It's a bit tragic that it's been blown up to be such a commercial kind of thing, because I feel like it doesn't have to be. Global warming means we rarely get snow in England anymore. Yeah, I mean, even here it's not guaranteed. Like, a lot of times it's been, we jokingly used to say that a lot of times it is colder during midsummer than it is during Christmas. So yeah, but apparently next week's snow is coming. I'm not looking forward to it, because I'm not really a fan of snow. Like, it depends, of course, on how much it is, because right now it's very dark and like just very grey outside, because the trees have like all the leaves have fallen, really, so it's kind of just grey right now outside. So in that regard, some snow could be nice, but I don't want it to be too much, because then it just gets chaotic and annoying. But a little white powder could be nice. I remember when I was like 7, the snow being up over my head though. Yeah, same. But at the same time, I think being children, everything seems more grand. Like, maybe even if it isn't so. Like if you're going to, I don't know what it's called in English, but like when you ride down a hill in like a sled or something, that hill always seems like it's huge when you're a child, but then it's really basically just a bump in the road. So, but yeah, I get what you're meaning. The winters definitely have changed recently, they have, but last year it was chaotic. Like, it started snowing like the end of October, I think, and it stayed winter until like middle of April, so it was it was awful. Sledding, yeah, that's the word I was after. Last winter was really cold. It was below 0 for 5 months straight, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. It was awful. So I'm quite happy that it hasn't arrived yet. That it's still pretty much autumn, because I still have sort of PTSD from last winter. It's just so frustrating when it gets like that. That it's just like half a year. Like, it's ridiculous. It's way too long for one season, if you ask me. Winter is selfish. Let's give something to the other seasons, okay? Like, autumn, for example, is like 2 weeks, and then winter is just there this is my time to shine. Like, no, stop it. Depends on the hill, the one we use still look pretty huge to me. Yeah, of course. I'm not saying that just because you're a child it's fake, because I know it. Winters used to be different when we were younger. I feel that, like, the climate change definitely is happening. So yeah, but I do think that we tend to like I had a word in my mind but I lost it. But we like to tend to make our childhood seem more magical than maybe it was. But that's a good thing. It's good to have good childhood memories and have memories of a time that was more magical than now, because now is pretty much just so yeah. A solitary capitulatory desolate energy. Idolize, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you for helping me with the words. I appreciate it. Michelle, my dear. What? I turned up to look at him, wreath still in his hands, and I looked down in turn, this time matching my gaze exactly. He wasn't really looking into my eyes though. He just happened to know where they were because I had told him. But I was fine with that. Would you like me to write that letter to your mother in your stead? What do you mean? I mean, I dictate what you will say. All you have to do is write down and sign it, Michelle. It won't be something you wrote, so I imagine doing it that way will take much of the pressure off. Oh, that's so sweet of her, actually. Romanticize, yeah, exactly, romanticize. That's a good word for it. Romanticize, I like that word, yeah. He didn't seem certain what to make of the proposal. I never suggested anything like it before, and I likely never would again. You're going to ask me for something in return, aren't you? Of course not. What do you think I am? A witch? Well, he was right. But Michelle was a saint, like me, so I wasn't particularly fond of him calling me a witch. I like that she says that he is a saint like her, like, she really does look at him like he is what she used to be. And it makes so much sense, considering how the white-haired girl came to be. She also idolized him. I was in a forgiving mood today though, so I decided to let it pass. I know how to show gratitude, thank you very much. Even for a widely ill-considered floral wreath. Morgana's Christmas gift? Yeah, I definitely feel like this is like her gift to him as a Christmas gift. That's sweet. I was just fickle, that was all. Sometimes I would have days like this. Most, I would continue trying to bring him over to my side, to curse his family. But occasionally, I would show some kindness. Merry Christmas, Michelle. Oh, and that was the end of it. Oh, you were right, it was very short. And that was very sweet. I like that she gave him like a Christmas gift to take the pain away. Like he gave her the wreath, like, and sort of like kind of reminding her of her past, even though she didn't feel like it fitted her. Even if he like did it to alleviate his pain, but still. And she gave him a way to not have to feel that much pain. Next one is even shorter. Okay, then let's do next one. Let's do next one as well then, if that one is even shorter. I do have time. Let me just stand up for a little bit and like move my legs a bit. Can you still hear me good? And then we do the next one, because we still have a lot of them left, so I feel getting some of them done is a good thing. And it's easy to remember that we have like one story left on this page. before we switch to the next one. And it's Maria and Jacopo. Oh, this song is good. I love this song. I have missed this song. Now tell me, my boy, how are things going on your end? Asked Jacopo's good friend, chest puffed and hand stroking a triangular beard. He wasn't sure how he was supposed to react. Annoyed? Confused? Disappointed? Or as if he just stumbled upon a mythical creature? Can I take your silence as poorly? Are we really going to do this? Jacopo finally managed to get out. But not without a heavy sigh, which created ripples in the 2 cups of coffee on the table between them. What are you even doing here, Maria? Yes, he was sitting across from his oldest friend, and very much a woman. Scarlet in the Coffee House. My favorite song in the game? Yeah, it's one of my favorites too. Like, I like the last one a bit more, but this one a close second. This is just so groovy. I love it. Like, I have a very emotional attachment to the last song, but this one, I can just jam to it, honestly. It's amazing. What does it look like? Having a cup of coffee, thank you very much. Maria tilted her head, still stroking the fake beard. Oh my god, I love her. She had lowered her voice a few registers, but Jacopo could still recognize it as hers without much difficulty. No, I mean, coffee houses are men's establishments. What are you doing here? He was sitting in a far corner, away from most other customers. At the time, coffee houses were social gathering places for men, where they talk news, gossip, business, or anything else of interest. I like one of the other Door 3 songs, more Dame una cigaretta. Yeah, that one is good too. That is also really good. Yeah, it is similar to this one. It's more like slow down and chilled. Chill, I mean. A bit more like slow down than this one. But yeah, that one is also good. I actually have them both on my huge game Spotify playlist, so yeah. They are both very good. And for an investor like Jacopo, it was a crucial part of how he did business. He had come here today to scout out opportunities, but those plans fell by the wayside when he caught sight of the small-framed man with slicked back blonde hair. So he approached her and confirmed his suspicions that it was Maria in men's clothing. My favorite Fata Morgana song is Serious Fragmental Vocal. Yeah, that one is also good. That is also really good. I agree. Like, the whole game has so many good songs. Like, it's, yeah. I can really just put I don't even have to put on my Spotify playlist. I can just put on the Fata Morgana complete playlist and listen to that, because it's just so good. Also, a lot of Wakefulness is 7th layer, and the main Erasmus one is awesome. Okay, I see. End of Story, I think it's called. Okay. Yeah, I haven't played any of those. The Erasmus one, I don't know even how to find. Like, I know 7th layer is on the Switch, so I'm thinking of maybe trying that out one time in the future, even though I know it's like a completely different universe, but just using the same characters. But I am kind of interested in it. But the other one I don't really know anything about, because I haven't seen where you can get that one. Why else would I be dressed like this, doy? Please don't tell me you weaseled your way into this place before. Weaseling isn't a very nice way to put it. But no need to get your panties in a bunch. This is the first time. Heck, half the reason I did it was to startle you, because I thought you'd be here today. Jacopo had many questions. So many, in fact, he wasn't sure where to begin. Where had she gotten the clothes and a fake beard, for one? Wouldn't the other maids get upset at her if they found out she was here? And why had she gone to such lengths just to surprise? Hold on, You said half the reason. What's the other half? Because I wanted some coffee, doy. You have coffee at the mansion. I know we're not out of beans. That's not the point, stupid. Coffee at a coffee house is a completely different thing. It's about the experience. I can imagine that. Yeah, I can agree. I've never been to a coffee house and I never will be. I mean, I have been to cafes, but that's not the same as this, like back in the days. So yeah, I can definitely understand that wanted to experience it, especially since it's not a place that women can get to. I guess it's kind of like similar to like watching a movie at home, like on your TV or laptop, as like compared to going to the cinema. Wildly different experiences, even if it's just the same thing, like you're watching a movie. You can do that at home, but it's not the same. I got Erasmus from a patch for the Steam version. Oh, okay. I don't know about the other ways to get it. Okay. A patch from the Steam version. I have the Steam version. Need to research if I can get it some way. Yeah, exactly. The atmosphere. I agree. Yeah. And speaking of, it kind of sucks. It's a real sausage party. I mean, what did you expect, Maria? It's a men's place. And that would suck. That was more surprising to him than her being here. That she didn't like it here because there were only men. In his mind, and in society's eyes for that matter, that was simply what coffee houses were, and he never considered that as potentially detrimental. Assuming some other maid had said the same thing to him, Jacob probably would have lectured her about the roles of men and women in modern society, and how it wasn't her place to judge men's spaces. But he considered Maria too much of a friend and an equal, and far enough detached from convention at that he couldn't bring himself to do that to her. He also had no idea how to effectively communicate that sentiment to her. Anyway, please don't go pulling stunts like this too often. Called Remade of Dreams. Okay. Remade of Dreams. Hang on. I'm gonna write that up because I will forget it. I'm gonna write it up so that I can check it out. Opening a note. There. Now I have it written up so I can check it out and see if I can get to it, because that would be nice. Has a few extra short stories for the side games. Okay, that sounds nice. I don't want to catch any blowback. It's fine, no one caught me. Well, I caught you, Jacobo thought. Not to mention the curious glance that they'd been getting the entire time he was here. If he hadn't found her when he did, chances are she would have been thrown out by now. Oh hey, Maria said, her eyes going wide. She then gave him a wink, not unusual for her, but it looked very out of place on the not quite there gentleman look she was sporting. Next time I want to go, you come with me. You're the big name investor, Jacopino. No one's gonna wanna get you on your bad side just cause you brought a chick. Excuse me? This is a place for doing business. Also, don't call me that. You can do all the business you want. I listen in on your talks, and when we get back, I give you my thoughts. You know I'm sharp. I'm sure it could be of help. He wasn't sure if she was serious or just pulling his chain again. But since she wasn't laughing, he decided to assume the former. So you'll be a second pair of eyes then? You know, that's not half a bad idea, he said with a chuckle. Except it is a bad idea because she is planning to kill you, but yeah. Maria's eyes went wide. What? I'm always counting on you, you know that. Right. You're making me blush. Having Maria as his right-hand man would be the best for him in the long term. She was the only person who was able to really trust in this world. Yeah. Yeah. that kind of hurts. But it would take a lot of work to make that possible. He would need even more money, more power, more status. Of course. Enough to resist the pressure he would undoubtedly get from all sides. Jacopo was the heir of the Bersatti family, and Maria was the sole survivor of the Campanella family. There were still countless obstacles to putting her on the same stage as him. But in a week's time I'll be taking the first step, he thought, tilting his head back toward the ceiling. That was when Jacopo's bride-to-be was scheduled to reach the new world. Hey, Jacopo! What is it? We'll always be like this, won't we? Maria asked, looking stern in a way he almost never saw her. But before he could answer, yeah, of course we will. We'll never change, she said, as if she needed some assurance. Oh, maybe she hasn't decided yet. So here maybe she is genuine. But then he strives for even more power and stuff like that, and she's just like, nope, you've gone too far. Just like in their first life, really, when she decides that she has to kill him because he's gone too far. And that was that. Yeah, that was really short, and I like that one as well. Interesting to see, that she maybe didn't plan it all from the start, but maybe it was like a process. That she wasn't getting a job as a maid because, I am infiltrating and going to kill him. But maybe she wanted to keep their friendship, but then she just felt like, no, we can't do it because he's too far gone, all of this should have been mine, and yeah, the curse is doing its job, really. But yeah, it's interesting to see all these different little sides to the stories that we didn't get to see. I am enjoying it a lot, actually, and I do like that it's not just short stories for the sake of short stories, but they actually add something, all of them, I feel. And be it a part that we never saw, or even a side to the characters that we never got to see. Yeah, I am enjoying it a lot. Let's change screen here. With Maria, you never know. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Maybe Jacopo could dress up as a woman instead, and they can go to a less socialist festive place. Yeah, no, that would never happen. And also, I'm not sure how many, I'm trying to think, but I'm not sure how many womanly places there were back then. Wasn't it very much a woman should be at home and, yeah, not really being out and about, you know? So, yeah. The rest of the short stories are quite short too. Could probably do them all in one more part. Okay, that's good. That's good. Then maybe we'll finish this on Monday then. So the plan for the rest of the week, the rest of the week being tomorrow, that is, we have a writing stream tomorrow, so it's going to be 13 GMT plus 1. So if you're interested in coming and hang out and write a bit, then yeah, come and do that. It will be very fun. I'm looking forward to it quite a lot. And then we continue with the house in Fata Morgana on Monday, because now I know that my voice holds for it, so if nothing happens with my well-being, which I really don't hope because I'm sick of being sick, then yeah, we will probably maybe finish this on Monday then, which feels exciting but also kind of bittersweet. It's been a long and wonderful journey, as I've said many times. So yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about saying goodbye, but I am excited too, because I am excited about the game we are going to play after. So yeah, it's a mixed bag of emotions. Not many, yeah, and almost any business with women in charge. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that would be a thing that they could do the other way around, that is. Would have been funny though, but yeah. On Thursday we got to read the school rules and fail tests again. Yeah, of course. On Thursday we are playing Final Fantasy VIII, of course. I just felt like we're not done with the week yet, so I'm not gonna ramble the whole schedule. I will do that tomorrow. I just wanted to like say when we're playing the House of Fata Morgana next, which is on Monday. But yeah, let's see. Is there anything else I need to bring up? I don't think so. So yeah, I'm gonna go and get myself some dinner now. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. I think it was lovely. It's always nice to read The House in Fata Morgana. It's just, it feels like home, you know? And I hope you guys feel that way too, that you enjoy it as much as I do. So thank you so much for being with me here today, guys. Have a lovely evening, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!